The previous video we showed how you can create a button that imports data into a grid, and now we're going to show how you can create a server-side event handler to do data validation on this data so that after it's uploaded it gets validated before it actually gets added into the grid. So I'm going to go back to design mode and let's go to action buttons over here, and I just point out that even though I'm using action buttons here, which would require the action button feature pack, if you don't have that feature pack you can still put buttons in the grid to do this by just going to your field list and saying insert button and then define the action. So you don't have to have action button feature pack, but it just makes it a little bit nicer. So I'm going to go back now and modify that action. So here's the action that we just created, import to, and I'm going to go there and edit that action now and then bring up the JavaScript for that action. And what you see here is that there's a property called the data validation xbasic function. So you can specify any xbasic function that you want that's going to get called on the server to validate the data after it's been uploaded. So let's go ahead here and create a function called, say, validate. Then we'll go here and click this button to get the function prototype for this function. So I'll go here and copy that to the clipboard, and then I can go here and say open xbasic function declarations, and let me go ahead now and paste in my function over there, and you can see here's the function that we did to empty out the table. So this is the function that's called now after upload, and you can see what gets passed into this function is e.input file name. So that's going to be the file name on the server that contains the information that was uploaded. So the Excel file gets uploaded and then gets converted into a temporary DBF file, and then you can now process the records in this file and do whatever you want to them to validate them, including changing values, adding new values, etc. So let's now go and write a simple validation script to demonstrate this functionality. Okay, so what you see here is I've added a small amount of xbasic in my validate function, and remember that the e.input file name now gets passed into the validate function. It contains the temporary file name on the server that was created from the imported Excel or ASCII data. This file is a DBF file, and now I can use standard xbasic techniques to process this file. So I'm going to open the file, I'm going to get a count of the number of records in the file, and then I'm going to loop over every record in the file, changing the first name to be all uppercase and then changing the last name to be all lowercase, and then I'm going to commit my change and then go and fetch the next record. So this is obviously a contrived validation script, but in your own case you can write any validation code that you want over here, including code that would go and add new records to this input file name or delete records from input file name. It can do whatever you want, and then when you're done, Alpha 5 will then continue to actually take all the records in e.input file name and append them to the current grid, or if you set a new property called e.output file name, it'll append the data from e.output file name. So let's go ahead now and test this out. So I'll go ahead there and hit save and go back to working preview, and let's just clear out the existing records first, and now press our button. So select the file, and the data gets uploaded now, and then it gets processed and then closed, and now you can see that the validate event has converted all of the first names to uppercase and all of the last names to lowercase. So you can see now that using the validate event you've got a lot of control over exactly what data gets imported. So we'll pick this up now in the next video.